President Trump wants to destroy our auto sector, take down our steel sector, go after our manufacturing sector. I'm not just going to sit back and roll over. Everyone in the world wants our critical minerals, and they'll have an opportunity to get those critical minerals.
All right, let's bring in Scott Reid, who's standing by, CTV News political commentator. Okay, so, you go to Washington, you got this great meeting with Donald Trump. He's super, complimentary about Mark Carney, but, where are the tangibles here? Where is the deal? What happened?
We don't know what happened. We don't know if this is actually right according to Hoyle, and frankly, they just wanted a working session, maintain, advance the chemistry, and work toward broader outcomes. And maybe it's not in the cards that we can have some kind of breakthrough on either steel or aluminum, or certainly on the broader trade front. Or maybe something didn't happen. And, your report talked about Keystone, talked about critical minerals. I wonder if we were still maybe close to trying to arrange something on that front. Perhaps it'll pop out in the next few days. But we are left in a position where we simply don't know, because the Prime Minister's office has been very circumspect in what they say in terms of establishing expectations, in terms of disclosing what the discussions have been, and even in terms of what we're driving toward with respect to objectives. They are holding their cards so close to their vest, I'm not even sure they can see them.
Does this do any damage, Scott, to Mark Carney, coming back with, at this point anyway, what seems to be no deal?
I think it elicits predictable political pushback. We're going to see the House of Commons question period in a few minutes. You and I can both write the questions that will be coming from Pierre Poilievre. Everywhere you go, you come back with nothing. You were supposed to be the grand fixer. You were supposed to be the brilliant negotiator. Where are the results? I think Canadians are, by and large, a little more patient. They're a little more patient with the Prime Minister. They still have confidence in him above other leaders to maintain and navigate this complicated relationship. I think most of all, Canadians look at that spectacle yesterday, that gold-gilded, weird interaction with the president rambling on for minute after minute, talking about his domestic enemies, blathering on about how Joe Biden was the worst president ever, talking about men playing girls' sports, and on about this. And I think Canadians say, well, who on earth could deal with this? What would success look like in managing this relationship? How can you possibly navigate a predictable outcome with such an unpredictable partner? So I think the Prime Minister gets a long leash, but it's not eternal. And eventually these talks and these relationships are going to have to produce some kind of progress.
Well, the meeting didn't blow up, and it wasn't a huge disaster for Mark Carney, and Donald Trump seemed to have a lot of positive things to say about Carney. Does that make any difference at the end of the day?
It may very well. When you listen to people who have some experience in dealing with Trump, they tell you that face-to-face engagement is helpful. It maintains chemistry. It can create some momentum that can operate at other tables. I noticed that Dominic LeBlanc is remaining in the city of Washington, so maybe those discussions could bear fruit. But, most of all, I think, and we saw evidence of this. You mentioned the tone exhibited by the president toward Prime Minister Carney. He's a bully, man. He is a bully through and through. And what happens with bullies? Well, when they're face-to-face with you, when they're eyeball to eyeball, they tend to back down. They talk tough when you're not there and a little softer when you are. And I think maybe, and this is a very minimal achievement, but maybe just by being in the same room with him, it creates a dynamic where Trump is less harsh, less acidic, and less aggressive.
What sort of leverage does Canada have here, Scott? We heard the Prime Minister talk about our country being the #1 foreign investor in the States. There could be $1 trillion invested in the next couple of years as well, that sort of language.
Well, this is where it becomes so perplexing. Those points are all valid, but one wonders whether reason and truth play any role when it comes to advancing your objectives with the likes of Donald Trump. I think he ignores and rejects those things that don't fit his worldview. The truth and the facts and the statistics bear no resemblance to what he says, so I assume he doesn't believe those things. We heard him yesterday reeling off a list of tariffs that we imposed, 400+%. Those tariffs have actually never been imposed. That is a falsehood. You have to sit there and suffer his river of falsehoods and fantasies. So I hope that the leverage we have is ultimately that we are a huge supplier and a huge client of the United States. And of course, We do have our strings on energy. You add all that up, eventually what it means is that if Americans are used to buying things less cheaply and more affordably, we're going to be a critical part of the future. But if the President of the United States regards Canada and all that we offer as an enemy and a problem, well, then things will be more expensive and the economy of the United States will be slower.
Scott Reid with his take. Good to see you, my friend, as always, helping us make sense. Thank you.
Thanks, Todd.